25. 20.
With the meeting.
Yes. Just want to clarify for the audience that's participating and listening tonight. We want everyone to know that we also have this streaming live on Facebook, on our TCS Facebook page. When the board goes into executive session, keep in mind that you will be disconnected. This is due to the school board policy. We will, however, be still streaming it live, muted, and it will be blocked. You will not be able to connect, but you will still be able to see a sign on Facebook live streaming, and you will be able to be notified on that to be able to reconnect, to be able to participate after the executive session. That's all.
Okay, can we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Bose?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now calling the special meeting for today, to June 17, 2020 to order. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Dr. Gase?
Here.
Dr. McBride?
Here.
Mr. Widman?
Here.
Dr. Hoyda?
Here.
Mr. Perez?
Here. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, there being a second, any discussion on the agenda? If not, can we have a vote, please?
Did Mr. Widman second that motion?
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. McBride?
Yes.
Mr. Widman?
Yes.
Dr. Gase?
Yes.
Dr. Hoyda?
Yes.
Mr. Perez?
Yes. At this point, I would ask for a motion to enter executive session, to hold an executive session to consider the appointment of a public employee and preparing for and reviewing negotiation sessions with public employees concerning their compensation and other terms and conditions of their employment. I will make that motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Perez?
Yes.
Dr. McBride?
Yes.
Dr. Gase?
Yes.
Mr. Widman,
Yes.
Dr. Hoida,
Yes.
Okay, I think that there may be action afterwards. At this point, then, we will now recess into executive session at about 6:07 PM. Okay, I see Mr. Craycraft live on Facebook.
Good day.
No, you're broadcasting on the Facebook page.
Oh, am I? Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. Weber, can you let it, oh, there it goes. Now it says Scott Daniel. Somebody let us know when we can proceed. So we're live now and we have people in the room, right? So we can start?
Yes, we have 4 attendees in the room. Whenever you have open podium for the attendees, whoever would like to talk, all they have to do is raise their hand whenever you have that available.
Okay, and then board members, it wasn't on the agenda, but we have people on. Want to give them a chance to speak or?
That's typical, correct? That if people are present?
Yes, it's, I think it was in our rules or whatever that whenever we have one, we're supposed to allow for public comment. Okay, so the meeting is, it's 7:12, and at this point, we're moving back into our regular meeting. And we don't need a roll call because everyone's back in attendance, correct, Ms. Perry?
correct.
Okay, so at this point, we have just exited executive session and we discussed a couple topics. And at this point, we have the committee that was appointed to look at candidates for the interim superintendent. The district decided to go with an interim for this year. And Dr. Hoida and Dr. McBride, do you guys have a recommendation for the board?
Yes, we do.
And can you tell the board what that recommendation is?
Sure, the recommendation is Mr. Jim Grubbs.
And that would be to hire him as an interim for this year. And I believe it's a base pay of 133, correct? 133,000 a year?
I think that is what Diane and we agreed to.
Okay. And it would start August 1st at this point. And again, I believe that the plan is still to do a full search and get that going when it's reasonably prudent to do so, correct?
Continue the full search. Yes, sir, Victor.
Okay. Right. So do I have a motion then to hire Mr. Grubbs, James M. Grubbs Jr. as the interim superintendent of Tiffin City Schools, contingent on him actually signing and accepting those terms?
Okay, Chris.
Motion by Mr. Widman and a second.
Second.
Second by Dr. McBride. Any discussion?
Just one thing I'd like to discuss. We had multiple applicants for our position, and Megan and I narrowed it down to 2 to interview. We looked at all the applicants and they all had very good credentials. Past experiences and successes both were very good. We felt that Mr. Grubbs' past experiences and successes in a district with similar size to ours would line up very well. So we're pleased to welcome Mr. James Grubbs to our district as our interim superintendent.
Dr. McBride, were you going to add something or?
Yeah, absolutely. It was really exciting to see the different candidates who came forward for the district for this position, and Mr. Grubbs just really rose to the top with really unique but also interesting skill sets that he can bring, and his really robust experiences both in education and in the professional field of, oh, I'm going to get it wrong, but it's a tech degree, and he served for years in that capacity and then came back because of how profound his experiences were with his teachers and wanting to be able to follow that path. So being able to have such a marriage of just excellent experiences to be able to bring to the district, I think he's going to be a great addition for us.
Any other comments or questions? I would just add that I followed up with his references. I know some of them, and they spoke about his integrity and character, and that he works hard for the districts. The comparable district is Galleon, and he has a good reputation. And I think that's something the district is. I think the residents will be happy with. And so I thank you guys for your work. And unless there's any other discussion, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Widman,
Yes.
Dr. McBride,
Yes.
Dr. Gase,
Yes.
Dr. Hoyda,
Yes.
Mr. Perez,
Yes. Okay. There's no further action, I believe, but we do have members of the audience. And this is normally when we have board or just public discussion or comments. If there's anyone that wants to do that, please raise your hand. And limit your time will be limited. We just asked that you identify if you're actually in the Tiffin City School District. I think that's what we normally do. But go ahead, Mr. Weber. Let us know if anybody wants to comment or anything at this point.
I don't see anyone with their hands up at this very minute.
And I wanted to comment on some of the questions I saw like on Facebook. This is called a special meeting because it's not our regular meeting. So we had to set up a different one at a different time. So it's just called a special meeting. We have a regular meeting next week. And I think some of you have questions about how and if we're going to return to school. I believe Mr. Bose has something. He'll keep reporting what information we get from the state as well. But at that point, you're more than welcome to join us again. So at this point, if nobody wants to comment, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
Victor, I just have one question.
Go ahead, sir.
When we voted on Mr. Grubbs, we approved the contract also at the same time, correct?
You're muted, Victor.
Ms. Bronson, because I believe I said it was to hire him at the $133,000 a year, plus the other terms in the contract.
Okay.
Unless you want me to redo the motion, and so that the public knows it's not any of those. Whoa, Mr. Gase is sharing your screen somehow. But it's basically there was a mileage, but not anything extravagant in terms of this other's compensation, just normal retirement stuff and health insurance.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we didn't need a separate motion to approve the contract.
All right. And Ms. Brown's not longer there, so if we do Dr. Hoyda, we'll just bring it up next Tuesday. But I think
Okay, very good.
The intent is still to hire him at this point. Okay?
Would you like me to go ahead and contact him?
If you wouldn't mind,
I'd be happy to.
you and Ms. Brown will coordinate on that with Dr. McBride. Okay.
Very good.
Before we exit, Tim, do we have anybody still in the waiting room?
I have no one in the waiting room, but I have 9 attendees.
Okay, I just want to be sure that we don't have anybody that's waiting.
Okay. Thank you then. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second it. Any discussion? Vote, please.
Dr. Hoyda,
Yes.
Mr. Perez,
Yes.
Dr. Gase,
Yes.
Dr. McBride,
Yes.
Mr. Widman,
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.